Tere hommikust kõigile. Mina olen Kristjan Otsman. Ja peaaegu, et nagu igal aastal ma olen jälle siin, et rääkida teile varestest. Varsti ma olen üks Eesti parimaid varestalased asjatundjaid. Nimelt seekord ma avastasin, et põhjust, miks varest rahvauskumustes nõialinnuks ehk targaks linnuks nimetatakse, on arvatud seisnevad tema ettenägemisvõimes. Ühe teate järgi vanad inimesed ikka rääkisid, et vares polegi lind, vaid nõiutud inimene. Niimoodi oli Saaremaal. Ja siis Läänesaartel keelati varest osatada, et kes varest osatab, sellel kasvavad hambad puseriti. Nii et te võite ise arvata, mis juhtub inimesega, kes hakkab turundusinimesi osatama. Nüüd peale selle arvati veel, et varese suust maha kukkunud kondi närimisest lähevad koerad hulluks. Nüüd kui me vaatame laiemalt, siis vares on üks meie planeedi nutikamaid ja intelligentsemaid linde ja tema taibukust võrreldakse näiteks 8-jala või šimpansi omaga. Tema intelligentsus hõlmab palju tahke, kuid üks põhilisemaid on kohanemisvõime, oskus sobituda muutuvate loodus- ja sotsiaalsete oludega. Ehk siis kõige olulisem on see, kuidas ta neid teadmisi kasutab. Ja me võime rääkida varese puhul loomulikust intelligentsusest ehk sünnipäraselt nutikast elukorraldusest kui ka uute kogemustega kogutud intelligentsusest. Aga sellest täpselt nagu inimeste seas näeb ka vareste seas mitmesuguse õppimisvõime ja intelligentsusega isendeid. Nüüd üks näide sellest, kõige värskem näide, kui nutikas on vares, siis vares kisab alati õigel ajal. Vares ei lälla niisama seal ladvas. Tavaliselt need varesed, kes elavad metsas, siis kui nad leiavad sooja ilmaga, leiavad mingisuguse sellise raipe, keda on mõnus nokkida, siis nad on vait nagu hiired. Lendavad peale, nokivad ära, lendavad minema, eks. Aga juhul, kui ilm on nii külm nagu täna näiteks, siis nad lendavad kõige kõrgema kuuse latva ja siis karjuvad nagu jaksavad. Miks nad karjuvad? Aga sellepärast, et hundid kohale tuleks. Hundid tulevad, närivad ilusti sellele raipele augu sisse ja siis varestel on jälle pidu, siis varesed on jälle vait. Aga vares karjub alati õigetele elajatele ja õigel ajal. Mida me täna siin teeme? On see, et tänase päeva eesmärgina mul on hea meel, kui te leiate paremini saaki ja te oskate õigel ajal ja õigetele elajatele karjuda. Nüüd kui me vaatame seda karja, kes siin kohal on, siis hoolega vaadake seda, et mis värvi varesed on. Need, kes on tumedad varesed, siis nemad on esmakordsed varesed, kellega palun suhtuge neisse hoole ja armastusega, need, kes on valged varesed, eks. Valged varesed, tumedad varesed, püüdke leida valged varesed üles, sest valged varesed on omala tõelised profid, kes on siin juba mitmendat aastat. Nüüd, mul on hea meel kutsuda tänase esimese esinejana siia selle harukordse ruumi perenaine, kelleks on Siret Schutting. Siret Schutting räägib sellest, et mis on Eesti innovatsioon, mis on innovatsioon kui Eesti uhkus ja põgusalt ka sellest, mida te siin ruumis saate näha. Palun, põrandal sinu.
Aitäh. I'm going to make my presentation in English today because I understood that there is one person here who doesn't speak Estonian and we believe in equality here, so I'm going to do this in English. Is there anybody who opposes? Great. Positive start. So the room you're in today is the e-Estonia showroom. We're hosting foreign delegations here and sometimes Estonians. Our purpose is, yes, to share Estonian innovations, our success stories, but most of all, to make sure that what we do here is communicated abroad and what is done very well abroad gets here. And it's a government agency, so this is how Estonian public sector looks like. Not trying to brag, but maybe a little. So today I thought a long time what I'm going to tell you because I could tell you about how we promote the ID card or X-Road. But then I thought that I have actually never, ever told anyone how we did the communication and marketing for e-residency. Is there anybody in the room who hasn't heard anything about e-residency? Awesome. Great job then, right? So e-residency is the initiative that we launched on the 1st of December, and I'm the head of communication for that project. And I chose as the first picture here, this is not the night map from Google Earth of how the Earth looks like. This is a Twitter map from the 25th of November about tweets about Estonia and e-residency. So all of these dots you see here are people who have been speaking about either e-residency or e-Estonia. It was a shock to us, for sure. E-residency is a little bit crazy because when we started with this, I mean, I started in October, and how it started was an idea in 2009, and the idea was super simple. We have foreigners who live in Estonia who are residents, and they still get to use our e-services, like, I don't know, vote for the municipality or declare their taxes or digitally sign documents. But foreigners still can't use them. So we had this crazy idea back in 2009. What would happen if we give this opportunity to all the foreigners? Then this year, this crazy idea became a reality under the name 10 million e-Estonians by 2025, a name that I deeply disagree with because, sorry, but the user base is 5 billion people, not 10 million. Sorry to say that, but it's true. When we're talking about e-residence and why it's here, when this idea started like a few months ago, then this place here was opened in June. So this is also very new and crazy, just like e-residency. We have had hundreds of visitors. Our record for one day has been 8 delegations from abroad. And yes, our main goal is to share and create success stories, which we have literally done, which I'm also going to share a little bit later, but also to promote Estonian solutions. Who we're hosting mainly is like very high political leaders or ICT leaders, etc. I noted my favorite delegations here. So World Bank, with the World Bank delegation, it was so successful we showed them this Digimis there, which you can also check out later, which is done by a veteran from Afghanistan. He's a soldier, a very young boy, and he made this little app, yeah? And the point is like it is a virtual triage card. I'm not from the military, so I probably said something wrong there. But it's a very, very simple idea. When somebody gets wounded on the battlefield, then usually, you know, they just take some piece of paper and write what is wrong with them, and then, you know, it gets... well, it's early in the morning, so I won't say what it gets like, but it's not good. So with the moment when they get to the medical point, they're already in a very bad situation. So the point of his app is that already on the battlefield, when people are wounded, you will mark down what is wrong with them, and then you send it straight to the medical point. So when the wounded arrive, everybody's ready for them and they know what to do. So it saves lives, and World Bank invited him to Abu Dhabi to be one of the world's 40 chosen startups. And I'm not legally allowed to say yet what the deals were that he got there, but it was amazing. So I think this is a very good example of what the showroom has to offer. It is not only meant for very large enterprises, it is not meant for very large solutions like, I don't know, Skype or TransferWise. It is also meant to promote the good solutions from the smaller companies. Then President Erdogan of Turkey is also one of my favorites. I got to tell him about voting. It was very exciting. Princesses, NATO, several cybersecurity delegations, global ICT leaders, prime ministers, presidents. So we have this inside joke. Then whenever a state visit comes to Estonia, they first come here, and when they have time, they go to Kadriorg also. So yeah. So that's a little bit about us. But this is the reason why e-residency's communication hub was here. Because when we started, we didn't have a plan. I'm probably not supposed to say that, so please don't share this. You will, I know. But yeah, it was, I mean, when we say that it was a government startup, this is not a marketing plan. It literally was a startup. And it all started with a mailing list. It's true. So we had a website called e-Estonia.com, which at the time, like before that mailing list, I think it got like 40 visits a year or something like that. Okay, that's not true. But still, it was not a website with like super awesome traffic. However, we just added this small form there, like a small WordPress form. If you're interested in e-residency, then just leave your mail address, your country, and your name. It was the idea was very, very simple. I mean, we had this idea to do something. We wanted to see how many people are initially interested, like when could we launch, what could the solutions be, etc. But what happened was we got 5,000 in the first 24 hours. This is when Taavi Kotka, well, I made a phone call and then everybody was very excited and then he tweeted this, and so you could say that one of the biggest Estonian success stories started with a tweet, which is true. These 5,000 people, it's very important, they didn't come from Estonia. The majority of them, like 1/5 of them, came from the United States. We still don't know why or how. And we had around 30, 40 different countries in the first initial 24 hours. And then we had exponential growth. So this first day, okay, the first weeks, this was crazy because what we had created, kind of accidentally, was a database of people who are innovative, early adopters, and who believe in another government so much that they're willing to come and become an e-resident of this country. So these were like the first 5,000 e-Estonians. And it was very, very exciting, mostly because we had to make a plan. Now there are two types of PR people. One type is the Excel people, you know, who have like those communication plans and stuff. I don't know, maybe there are some of my ex-colleagues here, but I think it's quite clear that I'm not very good at Excel or planning. So what we wanted to do was to be honest about what we're doing, call it a startup, and then be also very honest towards these people. Because, I mean, if you're talking marketing-wise, it is pretty amazing. I mean, the demographic that you're getting is pretty amazing. Like the opportunities that you might have in that beginning moment, they still make my hand trembling, because imagine those people who are like sitting there around the table and then discussing what are we going to do with these people. I mean, what will be the first thing that we tell them? Because that was the only way of communication with them. The mail address that they had given. I mean, this is a time before we ever had applications, the time before we ever had any idea of what is going to happen, the time before we knew that the 1st of December is going to be the launch. So everything was super open, and we understood that the first steps that we're taking will be the most important steps that will actually define the way that we're going to communicate this project to the end. Because, you know, what you say in the first phase is going to govern that. So again, we decided to be honest. And by the time we made that decision, we already had about 13,000 people in the mailing list. So we decided to be honest and write an email with no design in Courier Sans and say, hello, we're a project team. We just did something in beta. We don't really understand what we did, so could you tell us what we did? It's true. We wrote a letter signed by Kaspar, the project manager, and me. And what we did was we asked the people some questions, very, very honest questions. I mean, I'm 24 and Kaspar is 26. And of the people that that signed up were like, I don't know, European Parliament members, like policy leaders of other countries. And I mean, I still remember that first time when we pressed enter on the email, and then we used a MailChimp. And then there's this little monkey coming and saying, are you sure? Because your letter is going to 10,000 people. Then I was like, no, I'm totally not sure. So don't ask me again. But this letter, the first letter, went out to 10,000 recipients with 3 questions. The question was, what do you want to do with e-residency? Which translates into which services should we build? Why do you want to be connected to this? And there was a third one also, which was basically, do you want to become a media spokesperson? So that's not important. We thought, just by the empirical research that is usually made, like if you send it out to 10,000 recipients, and it is still fairly impersonal because these people just signed up their email, they have never actually given any real input. We expected to get maybe maximum 700 responses, like 700 would have been our ideal. And the point of this was, we were expecting that people are also going to share our letter. It didn't happen, by the way. But we were expecting that. We were expecting that this will act as a vehicle to show that we are truly sincere and honest. Like, we didn't want to design this epic letter, the first communication method from the government of Estonia. But we really, truly wanted to show that we are young people who are creating a startup. It is a government service, but it's a government service in a completely different way. There is no other country today in the world who has done anything like that. And I'm not just talking about giving digital identity to foreigners. I'm also speaking about making a project with this type of an approach. Not just honest and sincere, but also very, very startup-like. And honestly startup-like, not just like in marketing language. We didn't get 700 responses. We got 1,500 officially, plus me and Kaspar are still getting letters. Altogether, I think we have replied to 7,000 or 8,000 people, just every day replying to them. It was a very, very, very bad idea to put our email addresses and cell phone numbers in that mailing list. So this is definitely the first lesson learned. Do not send a global email with your personal cell phone number. Don't do that if you ever get the chance. But these 1,500 initial replies, which also, by the way, came very, very fast. They came in around 3 or 4 days. So this is another thing that you usually have to understand. We thought that maybe the reply time is going to be around 2 weeks. Yeah, something like that. 2 weeks and like 700 replies, but these came in like 3 or 4 days. And what was the most surprising thing was the length of the letters. So as I understand, all of you here are somehow connected to like email marketing, right? Or web marketing. So you also know that the replies are usually super short, right? I mean, nobody like puts time and effort into replying your question as to what kind of services should we build, unless you are really emotionally invested in the project. But the problem is, how can you be invested emotionally in a project that doesn't, well, exist? I mean, there was nothing but an idea at the time. And this kind of is still true. So what was very, very surprising was the length and the depth of these replies. So the average response was like 3/4 to 1 A4 page. So like very, very, very in-depth descriptions of what these people want to do with the residency, what they see as a future, what is their emotional connection to the country. So there was something that we did right in the letter, and we analyzed this a lot. Because as I said, like by this time we had already over 60 countries is what we have today. But at that time we had in the mailing list people from over 150 countries. These are the people in the mailing list, not the real e-residents. It's 150 countries, which means that, I mean, I'm really sorry to say that. I'm probably not supposed to say that as a government employee, but we were in that meeting room there when we were building the website until 4 a.m. And then my friend said that, God damn it, United Nations has spent almost a century to connect the world, and Estonia did it in 3 months. That was when we got our 157th country. So this mailing list that we initially created was like a big pool of people from a small farmer from Pakistan who had a dream because he had been using Kiva, which is like a microfinance website. And now he has a dream to export his stuff into Europe, and he found about e-residency. And this is like his first foothold in Europe. That was his dream. Then we had a member of the European Parliament from Germany who was like kind of a pirate and said that Estonia is the first country who like actually fights for transparency and data protection. So she wants to use it as a vessel for like creating a better Europe. Then we had like some South Americans who thought that this is going to give them residence in Estonia. So, you know, we're just gonna, like, they didn't get it. But the amazing pool of different cultures, different people, different purposes. And then when we started to analyze the replies and saw that over 60% of them really wanted to come here and do business and create companies, then we started to understand that we did something well. It's very, very hard to connect a group that is so different. I mean, if you try to put any demographics, yeah, it's impossible. Cannot be done. I mean, I can, of course, all the people in the world. But that was amazing. So what do you think was the thing that we did right there? I mean, why did we get all of these replies? Why did people write us emails and how they love Estonia? They've never been here, but they love it. No. I was hoping I can get some praise, but no. We thought what we did right was the thing that we did everything wrong. Everything, every single thing, every single decision that we made in our little email marketing project was exactly against the book. You know, we had like a very, 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 we had a very honest, sincere 24/26-year-old's letter. We asked very, very open questions which had nothing to do with marketing language. We said that we have absolutely no idea what we're doing, so please become a part of that. And that is what I personally believe, what was the greatest strength of this project, was that we didn't try to create something and then bestow this upon people, but we told them, if you right now write to us, then you will be the ones who are a part of this. But this is only the marketing part. What happened from 1st of December on? Because, you know, okay, the statistics were good. We have 17,000 people who are interested over 157 countries. But on the 1st of December, when we gave out the first e-residence card to Edward Lucas from The Economist, then we had a prognosis that probably throughout December, we're going to have maybe, well, not very many e-residents, and maybe the applications will grow through January and February. So what you have to understand here is that although we painted this as something that would allow you, you know, to be connected to a virtual community, in the beta phase, so from the 1st of December to spring, people have to physically come to Estonia to get the card. And I mean, if you're like a citizen of New Zealand, then probably you're not going to fly to Europe for the first time in your life to get a plastic card, right? But it did happen. So today we have almost 1,000 applications all over the world, over 60 countries. We're receiving letters like from New Zealand saying that we're coming to Estonia for the first time, to Europe for the first time. So please tell me what I could do here for a few weeks while I'm waiting for my card. It's the same for South Africa, Pakistan, Argentina, United States. United States is one of the main countries, by the way, who has applied next to Finland. So the importance here, the important lesson that we learned here is that sometimes not doing marketing actually helps. We have had media coverage from all continents except Antarctica. We have had a few video articles about Estonia in CNN International that actually look like paid commercials. I was asked, how much did we pay? And when I was sitting with Edward Lucas in London in December, we're discussing where to go further. Then I wanted to give him some input on his next article, and he said, Siret, no, we cannot write about Estonia anymore because there has been too much media coverage in The Economist. And that was very, very odd. This is something I would also like to share because it was personally for me a very odd thing. I spend my days here on this stage telling foreigners about Estonians, right? I'm telling them how we're this weird Nordic country, how we have the most beautiful language in the world, or how we were a pearl of the Hanseatic League, or how we have a problem for your every solution. It's also true. So I started to think about what happened 1 year ago. 1 year ago, I remember specifically, I was at home, it was a Saturday, and I saw The Simpsons, and they mentioned Estonia. I was happy for like half a day, and I think it was quoted by Delfi, Postimees, and some other media channel. Yay, we were mentioned. 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in the Ministry of Economy, and we were whining about the fact that we're going to get a 2-page article in the Economist tech section, not in the, the weekly newspaper. And that kind of flung me into the real reality. We have gotten to the place where from November to today, Estonia has received more media coverage internationally than within its independence altogether. Yeah. So we're in a very, very weird place today with this project, if we're talking marketing-wise, because this is true. We never made any marketing. I mean, it has been a story that has been telling it by itself. So where should we go next? I mean, what are the next steps? And still, our most important and only marketing tool is that same mailing list that sprung the story forward sometime in October. So our next steps are going to be the actual decisions that we made were that we're not going to use the mailing list. So we made a decision that we're going to send maximum 3 letters a year onto that mailing list. Because sometimes you can also use these contacts and this style of marketing to do it in the opposite way. Like our main messages are, we are a Nordic country who values transparency, protection of data, privacy, free will, etc. So if we would be sending them information newsletters every week, do you think it would support our message or not? Probably not. So what we saw was if you're just going to use it once or twice or just few times, but you're going to be super personal, like epically personal. We were very, very personal in these letters. So looking at these right now and thinking, oops. We were very, very personal, very, very honest. And if you do it 3 times a year, then it kind of seems like a love letter from a distant Nordic country. So I think that this was the one right decisions that we made. I don't know what's going to happen forward, but I just wanted to share this little story with you, not to just tell you about the showroom and e-Estonia, because you all know that, of course. So I hope that you got some useful points out of this. And probably in 1 year, we're going to be able to give a real campaign analysis. But like I said, you're the first people on the planet, besides like Kaspar and Taavi Kotka, who actually know what happened from October to February in the marketing and communication process of e-residency. So I hope you got something useful, and probably questions will follow now.
Siret, thank you a lot. So any questions? Any questions on the e-residency?
It usually means they got everything or nothing, so.
What are our next steps?
Well, the next steps are that, now this is the super scary part, but we're going to be able to receive applications from embassies, which technically means it's possible for you to open up a company in Estonia and do business here and do everything here without ever physically coming to Estonia. So
great.
We really want to keep people out, right?
Okay, please put hands together for Siret Schutting. Thank you for your presentation. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I will be here whole day, so if you want to ask some very specific questions, then I'll be available later.